Hello, my name is Carolyn Norton. I'm the Director of Cloud Engineering and Operations, and I wanted to spend some time with you today to discuss bagging and tagging your data. Bagging and tagging your data is a methodology to make sure you understand A, what is the data? So identifying it for yourself and for others. If someone's going to come in and look at the information, what exactly is it? What is it meant for? Um, who is the audience and things of that nature. So that's the tagging part. Bagging the data is grouping it or putting it in a virtual or a conceptual container so that like data is grouped together where it makes sense. So really doing those two aspects of bagging and tagging your data is giving you a sense of how it relates to each other, the bagging part, and then what is the actual data? What is it meant for? Who the audience is, and what is it for? Bagging and tagging is an old concept, but the theory around it really still applies even in the technology space. When you think about organization, especially around your data, there's a lot of data that you can have. It can evolve, it can grow, and you really want to get a sense of, again, how the data relates with each other. Who is the audience? Who's the intended audience for that data? Is it within the organization? Is it outside of the organization? Is it a mix of the two? Is it C-level? Is it line workers? Whatever the case may be, or purely archival information. And then from there, what is the purpose of the data? Who should have access to that data? It's one thing to have an audience, and then there's another aspect of who can modify, edit, and control. So really getting a sense of all these different identifiers and groupings is going to be kind of like your blueprint of your data. Think of it like a city. When you are in a city, there are streets, there are building numbers, there are signs, there are limitations. How fast can you go through the city? Who is allowed? Can trucks versus cars? Same concept, right? The identification of the item, and then who and what can do what they need to do within that particular item is really going to help lay out the foundation of what it all is and what it's meant to do. And then from there, an organization can take a step back and understand how it all flows and works together. So again, using my city analogy, think of traffic patterns. Think of zoning areas in the city. This area is meant to be residential. Does it have enough room for growth? This particular set of data is meant to be XYZ. Can it do what it is meant to do? Is there room for growth? Is the audience able to effectively do what they need to do with that data? Similar concepts. And when you start to understand the identification, the bagging and tagging part, then you can dive into understanding, how is it really being leveraged? Is there areas that are bottlenecking? Is there a certain area in your data that's causing a traffic stoppage, or is traffic flowing nicely as anticipated? Or again, using the analogy, is the data zoned appropriately? You might find that once you've identified it, you realize, wait a minute, this data is not zoned or identified properly, or it's not really doing what we thought it was supposed to do. Let's recalibrate it and understand what it's really meant to do. Or does it, just need to be re-identified and repurposed? So all of that stuff helps organizations really get an understanding of all the patterns of the data and really effectively understand what things are working well and what things need some tweaking, and maybe what things just need to be scrapped altogether.